Happy Monday. What's up? Hey. Hi. What's up? I'm live. Hello. Hanging out in my office, having lunch. Thought I'd go live. Hey, Aaron. I do not play the guitars. They are my partners. He is the musician. I wish I played guitar. Do I wish I played guitar? I think it would be like cool, right? But I don't have the patience to learn to play a musical instrument. In high school, I played band. I played the saxophone, and I didn't really like practicing. I'm just eating my lunch, hanging out. What do y'all have going on? You can play the guitar. That's cool. I think we get annoyed with ourselves when we're practicing or, doing our skill or thing. I think we put pressure on ourselves to do our best, right? And when we mess up, so that is the incentive, I think, to keep practicing, perhaps, right? So that you mess up less, maybe, or you mess up less consistently, perhaps. It's cool. We're live here. Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. I keep hearing like a phone chime, and I don't know if it's me. But they're not coming up on my phone. Like, usually it'll pop up. Maybe not because I'm live. That could be it, right? Hi. Are we eating lunch? Are we all eating a lunch snack meal together? That's what we're here to do, right? Is just kind of offer a moment of, hey, we're in this together and you're not alone at lunch. And, I'm here to eat with you, hang out for a few minutes. Sometimes I answer questions about mental health. No, I can't handle adulting. Well, you have a moment, you have a chance to go grab something. I'm going to be on for a few minutes eating my lunch or finishing my lunch. And you can hang out, eat with me. This weekend, I did a really cool virtual reality game thing. It was like a 30-minute virtual reality experience. I went with my friends and we fought zombies, and it was really, really fun. Like, there was this part where like you go up elevators and you're getting off on these different floors. It feels like you're moving through a building or something, but you're staying in a gym. Like you're on a flat gymnasium floor room, so you have all this room and space, but in the virtual reality, it did not feel like that. It was really, really fun. It was fun. You can ask me a question. You needed this today? Well, glad you're here. Oh, another ED therapist. Hi, welcome. Yay. And then I have some on Instagram saying they are in school to be a therapist and they feel like a fake because they're still experiencing behaviors. I literally had conversations like this with a lot of my college students in the last few weeks. I work with a lot of psych students and like kids who are in, I shouldn't say kids, young adults who are in graduate school to be therapists. And there's this like idea, this belief that we are somehow not supposed to have feelings, or we're supposed to master our emotions and never feel anxious or depressed or have a mental health condition. And that stigma comes from a lot of different places, but the bottom line is that you're a human and you are allowed to struggle. You are allowed to have a mental health condition, but please make sure you're getting your own help and your own support, right? Because you want to be able to do the best work that you can when you're in the room with that client. But that doesn't mean that you don't have feelings and issues and struggles. I just think that as therapists, we just know about feelings. That's it. Like, we just understand emotions and what they are and how they function and how we help people like move through them. That's all. And so as a therapist, you're not able to be more powerful than your emotions because you're human. You just have knowledge about what those feelings are and maybe how to show up and take care of yourself. Laughing because that's how you feel. You're going to school in May. Yay! I love working with psych students. I love working with all college students and high school students, but the psych students are really fun to work with. Right, we live it and we do know where people are coming from. And I just think it means that you have more of you can do a better job of putting yourself in that person's shoes. Like, you know how hard it is to hurt and how hard healing is and how, like, yes, it is hard and life sometimes is hard and anxiety does suck, but like, you're not bad or fucked up or wrong because you have these feelings. You don't have an eating disorder, but you have anxiety. Well, great. This is still for folks who have other mental health conditions. I also have this space for people who are at lunch and maybe feel alone or, come hang out with us for a few minutes. Thank you. It's good to just come hang out for a few minutes, I think. A friend made a mean comment about your boyfriend's body and it triggered you. How can you talk to her about it? So I think it depends on the type of friend this is. Sometimes if they're a really, really good friend, like a person that you trust and a person that is kind of like a ride or die, like an inner circle type friend, that's when you sit them down and you be honest and you tell them about your history. You don't have to go into your behaviors and the day-to-day, but just saying, hey, I have this history of an eating disorder and I'm working on getting help for it. And part of that is letting my support know how they can support me. And you're someone that I love, you're someone that I respect. So I'm wanting to tell you ways that you can support me if you're okay with that. One way is not talking about, or, you know, phrasing things in a different way and seeing if they're open to the education. Sometimes people, unfortunately, aren't easily open to information. So I think it's also okay to, you don't have to always be educating everybody. I want to make that clear. It's good too, and that is not bad advice to go and educate your support when they trigger you. It's just not always your job. So if it's a person who maybe isn't gonna get it, there's still not a lot of trust or respect there. Okay, so how do you just kind of, I don't know, change the subject, or when they, you know, is there sometimes you can say something without giving all the details, you know. Sometimes it's just like not allowing that conversation to come up. Whenever they talk about it, it's walking away, changing the subject, doing something where it's just very obvious of, hey, I'm not talking about this, but that's also as far as you have to go, unless it's somebody that you trust and you want to tell more. You want to work with kids with eating disorders. Great. Good. You should. We need people who treat eating disorders. You're welcome. You're scared you're gonna fail. I can't handle adulting. Me too. That is a very, very raw, real fear for me, is the fear of failure. And I haven't gotten over it yet. I'm more just try to not get so caught up in letting failure affect me or define me, right? Like, it's not who I am, it's not my identity, it's not my worth, and that failure is okay. It's just sometimes it's not easy to fail. It's not easy to make mistakes. It's not easy to like have things go wrong. But when we have, I think, like a passion for something or a desire for something, we don't always have to give up when things don't initially go our way, or when because things never go our way. So we're allowed to pivot. So can you pivot? And I've learned that I can always pivot. So I guess until I can't pivot, then I don't know. I guess failure is just, it's scary. It sucks to think about. And also, I'm in that with you. You hope to work with adults with eating disorders in a residential, inpatient. That's a great place to get education. A fear of being alone, that's a very real fear of that many people might relate to. Thank you for saying that and sharing that. And the thing about these fears is it does feel very real, and our brain is able to conjure up a whole lot of evidence of it being real. But the objective, outside, full truth reality is that we're not alone, and that failure isn't that big of a deal. That like you can pivot if you fail, and there are people out there who have love to give and support to give. So although our brains will trick us and lie to us and convince us that these things are true, and that's why we get held back in a lot of ways, I think that having the fear isn't the wrong thing, like it's this human, it's part of being human. We were hurt somewhere along the way, or that message got sent that, this was something that we had to be afraid of, that it was something to fear. So we came by it honestly, and I think we're allowed to just learn how to show up. And I don't want to say we always have to face our fear, because that's not what the message is, but that we can do what we want to do. It's just that things don't ever go the way that we want. So how am I just going to do the best that I can? That's it. I'm just going to do the best that I can each day. There's some good questions here. Oh, you're welcome. There's some good questions here on Instagram too. So, when you address an eating disorder at a younger age, do you have a better recovery? Is it harder for adults? Okay, so when you get treatment, you have a really good treatment outcome, right? Like, it is a very treatable, recoverable disease. So yes, you can recover at any age, at any time, because you can develop an eating disorder at any age, at any time. So it's not so much if you're like 10 years old and getting help and getting your for your eating disorder versus like being later adulthood and having an eating disorder. Like, it's not going to be harder. It's more or less how long have you lived with your eating disorder is the more what we want to be talking about. And again, you can live with your eating disorder for a really long time and still recover. It's just the longer that you've lived with it, the longer and harder it is to treat. So it's not so much an age thing. It's more that, and I think support has a lot to do with it, right? As an adult, what does your support system look like versus when you're a kid? What are your resources? I think there's a lot of factors that go into, my youth that I treat and the adults that I treat. Do you have support? Do you have the resources? Do you have like the motivation? Do you have the insight? And how long have you been dealing with it? What medical issues are we dealing with? What other mental health issues are we dealing with? Again, those things also will impact how long a person is in treatment. Again, you can recover and get treated, but right, those things all impact an eating disorder. And so, you have to, to heal and recover, right? You work on those things. Another question here is, what inspired me to work with eating disorders? That's a personal and a professional question. So personally, I struggled with orthorexia back after I was a working therapist. I burned out. I had a lot of vicarious trauma, a lot of untreated anxiety, and I was dealing with it with food and exercise that grew into this really nasty thing. Also, what was happening professionally was I after graduate school, I got hired to help start Timberline Knowles, the eating disorder program up in Chicago, outside of Chicago, and loved that job and got a lot of education and experience there. And then just my work and where it carried me for those next few years was working with eating disorders. And when I started my private practice, getting feedback of, hey, there aren't many people who specialize in eating disorders in the area. We don't have anyone to send people who, these therapists were getting folks presenting to them with eating disorders, and people were like, we don't know what to do. So I thought I wanted to then become a certified eating disorder specialist so that I could feel very empowered to treat and, you know, feel competent, feel strong, feel like enabled to do good evidence-based work with people with eating disorders. I was in, well, I can't, so HIPAA, I can't confirm or deny if somebody was in treatment. I worked at Timberline Knolls very, very, like was not even open for residents yet, like very early in the days. Like we sat in a room for like 6 weeks and helped develop the program, even in the rules. Like we didn't even have residents. So I was there when the first few I'll never forget the very first resident. That will be someone I'll never forget for the rest of my life, because that was like my first like client doing this stuff, right? I'll never forget them. But like I was there when the first people started showing up. Recovery does feel different as you get older. Your triggers are different. Because stress and life and anxiety, you know, someone asked here, what do I think anxiety focuses on? The thing that can't be stopped is an alcohol. But these are brain diseases. Depression's a brain disease, anxiety is a brain disease, an eating disorder is a brain disease. There are neurobiological effects of our brains when we have these mental health conditions. So recovery does feel different the older that you get, because things do change in your brain. Even your brain's chemistry changes. The fact that anxiety is this real asshole, ruminative, intrusive thought is there's these chemicals in your brain that aren't doing what you want them to be doing, and it's sending this mixed message. It's misfiring these chemicals in your brain. And when the brain does that, because I think we're these like language, you know, we that's how we communicate, right? That's how we understand, is words, language, and story. Our brain starts putting a narrative to this firing in the brain, and it's just picking up on things that it knows, whether it makes sense or not. And then just depending right on your disease and how it functions, and, you know, all of that is how those thoughts persist or not. Postpartum anxiety, hormonally, right? I worked with clients who have postpartum anxiety or depression, and that's a chemical thing. Like I remember some clients saying, like, my life is good, you know, like here I have this baby and life should look great, right? But I'm having these crazy intense thoughts, or I'm having these really intense, overwhelming feelings, and it feels really scary. But there is a chemical neurological imbalance in the brain, and when that happens, the brain is going to put a story, it's going to spin a story to that. With an eating disorder, right, it is the spinning of the story is about food in your body. With anxiety, generalized anxiety, it could be a number of things, but there's sort of like a cognitive flavor, if you will. I hate to talk about it that way, but there's this like there is this like thinking pattern that becomes associated when we have these like things going on in our brains. Please do not restrict for any period of time. I don't want to sit here and say how you need to refeed yourself and how you need to be eating and what you need to be eating. That's not my job. And I don't know, I don't know your, like, when y'all are on here, I don't know your history. I don't know what you're working with, what you're dealing with. But really the message is this. If you're hungry, it is okay to eat. You don't have to wait. You don't have to accomplish anything. You don't have to earn anything. It's not about doing it right or wrong. If you're hungry, you're allowed to eat. So please eat, and know that if you're not feeling hungry, know that food is a great way to connect with people. It is a great way to show love. It is a great way to feel connected and engaged. It can calm anxiety. It can help you sleep. It can help you feel less depressed. And if you're struggling with eating, it feels really hard, that's when it's okay to get help. That's when it's okay to, say, hey, eat with me. Hey, somebody help me get some, I need help for this. I need a therapist. I need some kind of coaching. I need some kind of team. Check out recovery-academy.com. Look at all the learning that I teach you and share with you about dealing with some of these things. How do you get support? How do you manage body image concerns? How do you manage restricting, purging, those things? All of that is in the Recovery Academy. So recovery-academy.com. There's also a great place to get support, right? And get a community of people who can cheer you on and encourage you and support you. Good old battle scars, that happens. Anxiety gets so high, it does affect your appetite. It can significantly affect your appetite. That's why I think this thing is always so complicated, because it's not just about like weight and calories and that and the food that you eat. There's a lot going on emotionally too, and those things matter, right? Like how we take care of our anxiety, how we manage our sadness, how we manage our stress, all of that is vital to recovery, whether that's from an eating disorder, depression, trauma, anxiety, right? How you care for yourself is how you manage your mental health, and that includes your how you're taking care of your body. Are you eating? Are you moving it? Are you sleeping? Those sorts of things. Okay, friends, I have to go. I have to finish my lunch. I always feel like I'm going to come on this and be able to finish my lunch, but I get to talking and I don't eat as much, and I do have the rest of my day of clients and Recovery Academy content and people to meet with. So if you're wanting to connect more, learn more, you can see the links in my bio. Also, recovery-academy.com is where I have all of my content, where I teach you everything I know about eating disorders and recovery. So y'all take care. I'll see you. You know what? Next Monday is a holiday, so I will not be live. Enjoy Labor Day, but I'll see y'all the next time. Bye, friends.